Good evening, students. Today we are going to do style and tone. When I talk about style and tone, I absolutely don't mean to say that I'll be doing the evidence-based reading style and tone that will let us know how to do a passage or how to understand the style of the passage or the tone of the passage. This is about the language usage in our evidence-based writing. Style and tone is very often misunderstood when we are when I say a style and tone class. It is very often misunderstood to be evidence-based reading. No, this is not evidence-based reading. This is evidence-based reading, and I am Deepa, who will get you through this session. And we'll be answering a couple of questions, and then we'll be understanding how to do them, how each question is different, and how they actually will help us in understanding the tone and style of the passage and how we have to follow the system, and then we have to go forward. Okay, so let's go forward and let's start the class, and I hope you will find this class important. Especially this is very important for your to score well in your evidence-based writing, and I hope you will be able to understand it well. Okay, let's start the class. When we're talking about style and tone, we'll be talking about different types of questions, and let's start. Now here, when Ravi is on vacation, he enjoys relaxing. He enjoys relaxing on the beach, catching up on novels. He's been meaning to read and visiting historical sites. He also swims. Now, in all this thing, this is basically a parallelism error where you will see that there are so many ing forms. He enjoys relaxing. Relaxing is a gerund form. It is a progressive participle with an ing form, and then you will see catching. You will see meaning. So therefore, this is a parallel structure. He also swims. Now rest of them all are in the participle way, so we have to change this also. Therefore, let's look at the options. So here we have to find a structure which has the ing form. So therefore, we'll go with, we have in this options, we have two options that has the ing forms. Let's check which one we should be going with. Now here he also loves swimming, one thing that could be right. And the next one is he also loves swimming. He also loves to swim. No, we'll not go with this because we want something which an ing form. So therefore we omit this. And the next one is basically swimming is also a pastime he loves. So this is also has an ing form. But we are actually looking for something that where the subject is Ravi and not general swimming. So therefore, we'll go with B as the right option. Okay, so I hope this is understood. Okay, I hope you understood. Let's go to the next question. So here in this style and tone part of a thing, you will understand various different kinds of questions. You will encounter different kinds of questions. So let's check. So this is how we have to understand that we are not talking about swimming as in general, but we are talking about swimming as Ravi is also interested in swimming, or he also loves swimming, is what we need to understand. So therefore B is the right option. Let's go to the next question. The author wants to use understatement as a rhetoric style. Rhetorical style, which choice best accomplishes this goal? Now we have the author wants to use understatement as a rhetorical style. So let's see this. What is a rhetorical style? A rhetorical style is how you present your expression. Okay, you took my brand new car without asking, drove it 800 miles and scraped the entire front bumper. Yeah, you could say I'm extremely upset. Let's check. Now here, what is the question do you think that best suits this answer? Yeah, you could say I'm extremely upset. Are you upset or what are you? Are you happy? Definitely this does not make me happy. So I will eliminate the answer B. No change is not an answer because I'm extremely upset. No, I think we can have a better answer. Yeah, you could say I'm little annoyed. Could be. I have never been angrier in my life. So, what kind of a rhetoric style would you think will suit? This makes me so happy? Definitely not. Yeah, you could say I'm a little annoyed. That is the best option that you could say. Yeah, you could say I'm extremely upset. Um, I don't think so. I've never been angrier in my life with a exclamation mark. No. So we will be going with we'll be going with C as a right option. Yeah, you could say I'm a little annoyed because I'm surprised, right? When I'm using an exclamation mark, yeah, you could say I'm extremely upset does not go with an exclamation mark. Or I have never been angry in my life does not go with an exclamation mark. Whereas, yeah, you could say I'm a little annoyed, yes, a little surprised and annoyed too. So C is the right option. Let's go to number D. The author wants to use overstatement in order to emphasize the speaker's exhaustion. Which choice best accomplishes this goal? Always see what is the kind of an, in the previous question, he had a surprise. That was a question mark there. Please check. Why I chose number C is because you took my brand new car without asking, drove it 800 miles and scraped the entire front bumper. See the expression. Yeah, you could say I'm a little annoyed. So because there is a question mark, I'll go with an exclamation mark, but then I also need to say that the expression, if he was really upset or something like that, the expression would have been different, not so cool. So therefore, we will go with C. In the same way, in the next question also, you will see, let's see, I have been working on legal briefs all day. I'm so exhausted, I could sleep for hours. Let's see the options. You have 40 seconds for each option, so please try. See the flow of the question. See the flow, how it is going. What is the tone of the question, and then you could actually think about. I've been working on long legal briefs all day. I'm so exhausted. I could sleep for hours. I don't think I can sleep right now. I won't be able to sleep for hours. I could sleep for hours. Years, sorry. So I have been working on legal briefs all day, so I'm so exhausted and I could sleep for hours is one thing. I don't think I can sleep right now. He's already exhausted, therefore he will sleep. So that is not the right option. I won't be able to sleep for hours. He's exhausted, therefore people sleep in exhaustion. So definitely C is not the right option. Could sleep for years. I'm so exhausted. See the calculation. I'm so exhausted. I could sleep for. This is basically more of an oxymoron where you are going to talk about two opposite things. So therefore, you will say I could sleep for years. Therefore, D is the right. D is the right option. Okay, let's go to the next question. I hope this is clear. What is an overstatement? Please understand, why did I use years and not hours? I'm talking about an overstatement. What is an overstatement and what is an understatement? Overstatement is exaggerating something, right? If I say year, hours, it would not be an exaggeration. But whereas when I say I could sleep for years, it is an exaggeration. That is an overstatement. So therefore, I want D as the right answer. Let's go to the next question. Which choice best expresses enthusiasm consistent with the tone of the formal engagement? Okay. Which tone best expresses enthusiasm consistent with the tones of a formal engagement? Mr. and Mrs. Joel Anderson of Sunny Valley have announced the engagement of their daughter to Guillermo Torres, son of Mr. and Mrs. Carlos Torres of Crater City. Stephen is a graduate of University of Utah and is a social worker at St. Paul's Hospital. Guillermo graduated from Beckman College and is employed with Kane Pharmaceuticals. The families are eagerly looking forward to an October wedding. Please check the options. Look for the options here. Mr. and Mrs. Joel Anderson of Sunnyvale are pleased to announce the engagement of their daughter Stephane to Guillermo Torres, son of Mr. and Mrs. Carlos Torres of Crater City. Stephen is a graduate of University of Utah and is a social worker at St. Paul's Hospital. Guillermo graduated from Beckman College and is employed with Kane Pharmaceuticals. The families are eagerly looking forward for an October wedding. So what do you think can replace? Please understand that we are looking at expression of enthusiasm in the front. Please understand we are looking for this expression of enthusiasm. Are pleased to announce? Are required to announce? Are they obligated to announce? No. Are announcing, very formal. Are totally stroked to announce? No. So therefore, we'll go forward with no change as the right option. Please understand we are in a Please check the question once again. Let's go to the next question. In order to emphasize the contrast between a sunrise and an author's attitude, the latter wants to use two adjectives that are derived from the same root word, which choice best accomplishes this role? Please check the options. Sunrises are, I admit, generally very majestic, but usually if I have my way, anything that occurs before 8 a.m. is wasted on me. Please check what are the options that you're going to have. These are the 4 options. Let's go to the option. Which option best suits this first question? Number 5. Sunrises are, I admit, what is it that we have to see here? Emphasize the contrast between a sunrise and an author's attitude. Okay, let's check this. Sunrises are, I admit, generally very majestic. So basically, he is praising it. Now you want a contrast here. Please check. You want a contrast here on the top. Go to the top word. We're looking for a contrast word here. Okay. So therefore, we want a contrast between a sunrise. So when the sunrise is majestic, what do you think should go? So, but usually, if I may have my way, anything that occurs before 8 a.m. is wasted on me. When the sun begins this incredible ascent, I prefer to be an glorious huddle of sheets, crusted with sleep and willfully blind. So therefore, here I will look for something incredible ascent. So therefore, I'll go for an option that goes with B. Rather than inglorious, we'll go for glorious accent. See, we have to have 2 adjectives here. Please check this. We are looking for 2 adjectives with the same root word. So therefore, if I have inglorious here, I rather will go with this B. Clear? Let's go to the next question. The writer wants to use exaggeration in order to emphasize the relative insignificance of a mistake. My friend Joseph, we are told, has committed the oversight of forgetting to bring his homework to class. This demonstrates a multitude of failings, personal and academic, which will forever bar him from the ranks of human society. See, here, what is the toad? He wants to check the sentence here. He wants to exaggerate in order to emphasize the relative insignificance of a mistake. So let's check the options. What is insignificance of a mistake? So here, which answer suits well? Now here he wants exaggeration. So therefore committed the oversight of forgetting would be very simple. So therefore we'll go with something that exaggerates. Now here committed the grave error, committed the oversight would be very insignificant here. Committed the grave crime suits better. Made the inconvenient error sounds fine, but it is very light. Unfortunately made the mistake also does not give the exaggeration. Therefore, we'll go with B. Is it clear? Let's go to the next question. For the sake of rhetorical flourish, the author wants to use the same word as two different parts of speech. Which choice best accomplishes this goal? What does rhetorical flourish means? We are looking at this. So here the author wants to use the same word as two different parts of speech. Please understand this. She did not hate many things, although she disliked the very act of hating things. Let's go forward. Even if we are having hate there and hating in the next part, now here, when the author wants the same word, therefore we should not we should not add any INGs or stuff like that. So let's see which one will go with it. She did not hate many things. So therefore we have to make sure that hate is one thing that we can think of. Therefore we need to find a replacement for hate. Although she disliked the very act of hating things, let's go forward and check. Although she hated that emotion, except for that every emotion, no, this does not go at all, except for hate itself. So now here we'll go for with D. We have the same word, two different words is what the author wanted from us, of the same speech, parts of speech, same word. So therefore here also we have hate and we have hate here. So therefore this goes well. And here it is a noun, whereas here it is a verb. Therefore, both of them are two different parts of speech and it's the same word again. There is no deviation at all. So therefore, we'll go with option D. check. The author wants to use irony in order to communicate disapproval of the bad weather. The author wants to use irony in order to communicate disapproval of the bad weather. Which choice best accomplishes the goal? According to the weather station, we should expect rain, hail, and an assortment of small pets to descend from the sky later this afternoon. Well, isn't that just a lovely forecast? So what do we want? We want to use irony here. What is irony? Irony is always a contrast. So therefore, we want to use irony in order to communicate disapproval of the bad weather. So let's check what is this. According to the weather report, so let us see the options first. Which answer do you think just goes well? So we are looking for an irony when there is when we are expecting rain and hail and an assortment of small pets to descend from the sky later this afternoon. Definitely, we will not say a rocky forecast. Can you say that? No. Can it be a fragile one or an unpromising one? Which one do you think will suit best? So therefore, we'll go with no change because lovely suits the best. It's irony because the other things are rocky, fragile, and unpromising. Therefore, we'll go with option A. Let's go to the next. I hope this is clear. Now, do you understand what is the tone of the style and tone of the passage, of the paragraph, or of the passage, or of the sentence? This is what it is. See, the moment we are looking at irony, we are looking for a word that is exactly the contrast of what is going to happen. If we are looking at different things we have been doing, a contrast, or we are looking for exaggeration, definitely we'll have to do work on this. Okay, so let's go forward with the next question. For the sake of rhetorical effect, now here we are looking for rhetorical effect. What is a rhetorical effect? What is a rhetorical effect? For the sake of giving a heavy dialogue, the writer wants to maintain the pattern of repeating words derived from the same root. Let's look at the options. Attain the unattainable, conquer the unconquerable, clasp the unreachable. Here we have to look at the parallelism structure. Attain the unattainable. There are two words we are using from the same root. So what do you think should be the right answer? Therefore, let's look at the options. I don't think this requires much. We'll go with D. I don't think this requires much. I don't think it requires much thinking. Attain the unattainable. We have added an un with attainable. Conquer. So therefore, it should be reached with unreachable. Let's go to the next question. Which choice best maintains the intent and pattern of the sentence? Let's check the intent and pattern. You must be brave without foolhardiness, strong without violence, decisive with arrogance. Do you think it requires much thought? Please check the answers. Decisive without arrogance. Whenever they're asked to change the pattern of the sentence, please don't try to change the entire sentence. Rather, look what minimal changes you can do and you can get away with it. Okay, so we'll go with B as the right option. C, decisive without arrogance. See, it is again a parallelism. Brave without foolhardiness, strong without violence, and decisive without arrogance. Clear? Let's go to the next question. Which choice most effectively maintains the stylistic pattern established earlier in the paragraph? Let's look at the other options. We shall wander the cobbled streets of Paris under the glittery moon. We shall swim the length of the Nile with the hippos and crocodiles. At sunrise, we shall scale Mount Fuji and pretend we are alone in the world. Let's look at the options. What is it that we have to do? We should maintain the stylistic pattern established earlier, right? We shall wander. So therefore, we should use something that will have with we shall. See the pattern. It starts with we shall. The second sentence also it starts with we shall. So therefore, we should use a sentence which will have the same pattern. See, maintain the effective stylistic pattern. We'll go with the option 11C because that is the best one that goes with it. Look at the question. Elephant DNA, when extracted from illegal tusks, can help biologists track which elephant populations are targeted by poachers. Let's check the options. Elephant DNA, when extracted from illegal tusks, can help biologists track which elephant populations are being targeted by poachers. Therefore, sitting ducks fur, I don't think that will really work. Pitiful, helpless victims of, it will not work. Being picked on by, it is not going to work. Therefore, we will go with no change as the right answer. Okay, in this part, we just have to check how it is being done. So that sounds to be the best option. So therefore, we don't need any change. Let's go to the next option, 13, question number 13. Which choice best maintains paragraph straightforward informative tone? Let's check the option. Let's check the question. Dia de los Muertos, or the Day of the Dead, is a Mexican holiday celebrated on November 1st that honors the dead with festivals and lively celebrations. This colorful holiday helps people be happy about dead by building private altars and visiting graves with favorite food and drinks of the deceased. Calaveras, brightly decorated candies shaped like human skulls, are popular treats during this holiday. Please look at the options. Which one do you think will go? Let's look at each option. This colorful holiday helps people be happy about it. This colorful holiday celebrates the lives of the deceased. Let's go to the next option. Is a nice way to remember people who are not alive anymore. Good option. Venerates the forebearers who have died in ages past. Does not go. Let's look which option goes well with it. The easiest and the best one is option B, celebrates the lives of the deceased. This is the best option because it is simple and it is trying to tell what it is. So we'll go with option B. Let's go to the next question. Sea otters are marine mammals that rely on their fur for insulation in cold ocean water. Now protected by endangered species laws, they were totally scarce around the turn of the 20th century. Let's look at the options. Now, sea otters are marine mammals that rely on their fur for insulation in cold ocean water. Now protected by endangered species laws, they were totally scarce around the turn of the 20th century. Let's look at other options. No change. Hunted to near extinction. That totally scarce. Instead of that, hunted to near extinction is one option. Almost bulldozed into obliteration. This looks this almost looks good, but then it really is very fierce. Now here, which word? This is endangered is the one that will show us which option to use. It's protected by the endangered species laws. That means either they are hunted. Obviously they are hunted, otherwise why will they become endangered? About to go to the way of the dodo bird. No, we are not going to look at that. I think B is the best option. It suits well because it is hunted to near extinction. That's the reason they are protected by the endangered species laws now. Doesn't it make sense? Let's go to the next option. Next question, sorry. In order to capture the attention of his audience, the author wants to invest the pie with human qualities. Which choice best accomplishes this goal? In order to capture the attention of his audience, the author wants to invest the pie with human qualities. The blackberry pie was exquisite. The flavors danced on Leela's tongue. Now we want to give it a human quality. Let's check. Now here we are saying danced on Leela's tongue. It itself is a human quality, dancing. Tasted incredible does not feel like a human quality. Almost made Leela cry can be eliminated outright. Made Leela feel, that sounds horrendous. So therefore we'll go with no change as a right option. We'll go with no change as the right option. Let's go to the next question. Which choice most effectively maintains the stylistic pattern established earlier in the sentence? We have already done the kind of this sentence. According to the World Heritage Site, there are 3 things everyone must do when they visit the city of Prague in the Czech Republic. Walk along the Charles Bridge, See a production at the State Opera House. Eat golsh is also an imperative. Now eating golsh, eating becomes a gerund form. So therefore, let's check the options. Because we have walk here and see here, we'll go with eat. Therefore, C is the right option. Is it clear? Let's go to the next question now. In order to highlight a point, the author wants to repeat the same word at the end of successive clauses. Which choice best accomplishes the goal? Let's check. My dog Bruce is my ultimate companion. Bruce is with me when I go for walks. Bruce is with me in the summertime, frolicking at the beach. Bruce sits with me at night when I am reading a favorite book. Let's check the options. Therefore, I have to look for an option which will have all of it. When I go for walks, I take Bruce in the it is not complete, therefore we have to eliminate B. Is my summertime at the beach, I frolic with Bruce. At night when I'm reading, I sit with Bruce. It does not sound well. Therefore, we'll go with, let's go to the option D. When I go for walks in the summertime at the beach, at night when I'm reading a book, I'm always with Bruce. So here, Bruce is with me when I go for walks. So here I say, when I go for walks, I take Bruce. I think the second option is not complete and the other three options don't really go well. So let's create an option for this question. My dog Bruce is my ultimate companion. When I go for walks, I take Bruce. I have a colon there. Therefore, I can say in the summertime, I frolic at the beach. At night, I read a favorite book. So that sounds a better one. So what we can do is, when I go for walks, I take Bruce. In the summertime, I frolic at the beach. At night, I read a favorite book. So I can have all the options in this format, and I can go with B if it was complete. Otherwise, we don't have an option, so we don't have the complete option. Let's go to the last one. I think this is the complete one. We got the right option here. We'll go with B. When I go for walks, I take Bruce. In the summertime at the beach, I frolic with Bruce. At night, when I'm reading a favorite book, I sit with Bruce. That's the right option. Okay, let's go to the next question. Which choice maintains a tone consistent throughout the rest of the passage of the paragraph? From Tuesday, April 12th to Thursday, April 14th, Valhalla Apartment Company will be repaving your parking space and surrounding areas. The north end of the complex, parking spaces 1 to 60, will be cordoned off for repaving and resealing. During these days, park your cars on the south end of the complex. Parking will be limited, so we suggest Emerald and Diamond Streets as additional parking locations. Thank you for your patience and understanding as we work to make your community better. Let's look at the options. Look at the option. See here, look at the words that they are using. We suggest, thank you for your patience. So therefore, we have to use a sentence which is more respectful and polite. We ask that you park on the south end of the complex. Sounds good. Get your car out of the way and park on the south end of the complex. No, we will eliminate this option. We beseech you to kindly park on the south end of the complex. This also looks fine, but kindly is too much. I don't think it requires it. So therefore, we'll go with the B. Let's go to the next question. The author wants this sentence to end in a climax. Which choice best accomplishes this goal? Thea wanted her vivid watercolors to inspire the Boston art community, her neighbor, her friends, the state of Massachusetts, and ultimately the whole nation. And you have to end it in a climax. So let's check the options. The whole nation, her friends, the Boston art community, her neighbor, and ultimately the state of Massachusetts. Her neighbor, her friends, the Boston, her neighbor, her friends, the Boston art community, the state of Massachusetts, and ultimately the whole nation. Her neighbor, her friends, the state of Massachusetts, the whole art nation, and ultimately the Boston art of. No, we want the sentence to end in a climax. So therefore, the third one chooses better. First thing is we should not have this. We'll remove this underline until it comes to here. Thea wanted her vivid colors to inspire her neighbor, her friends, the Boston art community, the state of Massachusetts, and ultimately the whole nation. This goes really well. We'll go with C. Let's go to the next question. Which choice best maintains the rhetorical wordplay which characterizes the previous sentence? So here, not only we are going to look at the the underlined question, we have to look at the previous question too, previous line too. When your mind is clear, you can conquer mountains and deadlines. Do not procrastinate because you will experience an obstructed route and scrambled calendar. Let's check the options. If you procrastinate, you obstruct your route and scramble your calendar. Let's go to the next option. Definitely this is not the right option. Let's go to the next option. I'm sorry. Let's check which one best suits your options. If you procrastinate, you obstruct your route and your calendar. When your mind is clear, you can conquer mountains and deadlines. So therefore, we are going to remove the scrambled calendar. Therefore, D is the right option. We are maintaining it when your mind is clear. If you procrastinate, you can conquer mountains and deadlines. You obstruct your route and your calendar. Therefore, it sounds well. Let's go to the next question. In the last sentence, the writer wants to juxtapose contrasting ideas in a repeated parallel structure. What is juxtapose? To keep one by the other. To keep side by side. Contrasting ideas in a repeated parallel structure. In a repeated parallel structure. So let's check. When there is joy, there can also be sorrow. Where there is courage, there is also fear. And love can also be accomplished by hate. So therefore, we have to use, let's check the options. And where there is love, there is also possibility for happiness. And love has the ability to blossom. No. And where there is love, there is also the possibility for hate. We have to put contrasting ideas. Therefore, we'll go with D. See, we're talking about joy and sorrow. We're talking about courage and fear. So therefore, we have to talk about love and hate. So this is the only option that has both. Clear? Let's go to the next question. The author wants to use irony to express a lack of surprise at the outcome. Let's check the question. It turns out the puppy, my friend Roger, a first-time dog owner, bought last week has already torn up the house and ruined the carpet. I sure did not see that coming. So let's see which one. We have to use an irony to express a lack of surprise. So let's see which one best goes with it. What an inconvenience is definitely not a surprise. I knew this would happen. Is not a surprise. No comment. We'll go with A to complete this option. I hope this was clear and you people understood what you have to do while you are encountering questions and sentences. You can see that what is irony or what is a paradox or what is contrasting words and using the same root words. There's so many that we have done. There are more in your app also. You can complete that as your daily practice sheet and your work at leisure to practice better. I hope this session was informative and useful, and I hope this will really help you to work better, to score a better score in your evidence-based writing. Thank you so much.